How goes the family? Welcome to Patterson No Properties. This is the first time doing a presentation for my Patterson No Properties channel. I usually just do it for the Larry's Anything Goes channel, but hey, give it a shot. Today's subject matter, I will be talking about the new bunk beds phenomenon with Podshare that is in existence, and it's an ever-growing thing. It's obviously very big on the West Coast, in cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle. Obviously, it's I guess the best way to put it it's a great alternative to a lot of the outrageous rent prices and housing prices that you see, and even in other parts of the United States. I would imagine that in New York, places like New York City and Washington, D.C., this is going to become more of a thing. And in the other cities that are quote unquote becoming gentrified and too expensive to reside in, this will be a thing, especially with a lot of tech scenes and entertainment scenes and things of that nature. It's a lot of fields that a lot of young people want to gravitate towards, so they want to be able to have that lifestyle and be able to live in the major city. A lot of people don't want to live in the suburbs, and I can understand that. I myself can't wait to purchase my first property in Los Angeles. So hey, I can understand completely. But the article I came across the other day, because as a matter of fact, some buddies of mine told me about this new phenomenon. I didn't even realize it. So I thought, I was like, hey, this is actually pretty interesting. So, and it was just basically, it intrigued me to the point because I was like, you know what, I got to create a video about this. The article basically talked about the crazy housing costs and obviously the rent spikes that have been going on across the nation. And, I know it's been hard for people out there, but I did not realize that people were actually renting to the point where they're renting bunk beds. Now, I knew people were renting rooms, but actually just renting a bunk bed in a huge space, this concept, it looks nice. I mean, hey, I wouldn't mind staying in a place like this for a night or two. I don't know if I'd want to stay there for good, but hey, maybe it was 10 years ago, who knows? But me, I'm very on the privacy tip, but hey, different strokes for different folks. I'm not knocking it. Hey, and this is a great investment opportunity for people who want to own spaces like this and be able to rent beds out instead of having worried about renting rooms or houses out. So it's another great alternative from a real estate perspective. And that's what I love about real estate. It's an ever growing phenomenon. There's so many ways to make money from this business. And if you have the right mindset and with the right people, you can really make some things happen. That's just all I can say on that from a personal note. So anyways, the rooms are basically rooms, see? I'm so used to saying rooms. The beds are rented out at $1,200 a month. So the concept was created, for basically the lack of affordable housing that you see and low paying jobs, because a lot of jobs are being created, but unfortunately a lot of them are low paying jobs. And that's just the reality of it. So, and a lot of people aren't good with money, so then that's another reality of things. So, and then you have the numerous amounts of debts that are taking place, from student loan debts to medical bills to the alimony, to child care, to child support. There's so many ways for you to get into crazy, credit card debt, so many ways for you to get into crazy debt, bad debt nowadays, and there's not enough ways for one to get into good debt. So that's the sad thing, because obviously good debt is something that's you acquire in order for you to make a purchase on other things that's going to make you money. That's what my definition of quote unquote good debt. Bad debt is just something that's not guaranteed of you profiting off of anything. It might be a guarantee of you having a nice car and a nice house, or a nice jewelry or something to that effect, but that's usually going to suck the life out of you and have no value. And if it does increase in value, well, you have the mindset to monetize that value. So it's all about mindset, and then implementation all at the same time. So, and the bad debt it's just gotten crazy. And because the amount of bad debt that people are accruing nowadays is insane. So, they have this concept called communal living. What is communal living? And it's basically derived from the French word appearing in the 12th century from medieval Latin communal, meaning communio, meaning the large gathering of people sharing a common life. Awesome. Basically it takes a village mentality in a sense, people living and creating different lifestyles. And then the thing is, like, hey, they have the same interests. Like, you have a lot of neighborhoods where people have the same interests, so they get along. So if you have an apartment building or building where you have this communal living going on, where people get along not just because they want to save money, but because they have the same interests. They probably work in the same industries. Heck, you never know, they might even, that's how companies are created, because people come together. They start to learn things, and then they engage with one another, and they're around like-minded individuals, which is very hard when you're living in a place that you don't want to be in when it comes to being around like-minded individuals. So I can speak from experience on that one. Anyways, as I digress, for the sake of saving time. So that's just one of the ways to look at it when it comes down to communal living. And, a lot of people, there's so many people trying to clinch to this. I'm on my own, and always do for self. And, but the direction of the United States economy is going, for a good number of people, not everybody, but a good number of people, it's basically that they will have to go back to the days before and after the Great Depression. More community and group economics, sharing and engaging, but not just living with one another, but trying to create something outside of that at the same time. Instead of, the 1 to 2 household incomes, you have about 5 to 6 household incomes. You can do a lot better with that kind of money. You might not have as much privacy, but when you have way more checks coming into the house, it gives you an opportunity to save more money and invest more money. And as a real estate investor, hey, you want tenants that are going to be able to save more and possibly invest more, because hey, if you're a real estate agent, hey, you're going to be dealing with the buyers. If you're a wholesaler like myself, hey, you want more people to be able to buy. So, buy. And then if somebody doesn't want to live someplace, you want more people to be able to be in a position to where they can sell. So it all goes hand in hand at the end of the day. It's when you have the right mindset. And, obviously here's some pictures of the Podshare. It's kind of like living in a college dorm, but with Podshare membership, there's no security deposit, there's no commitments, and that's another thing. There's no commitments for people to have to stay in these bunk bed apartments, and I think that's great, because a lot, especially with the millennial generation and the generation younger, coming up after them, a lot of them don't just want to move to one place and say this is it, or move to 2 or 3 places in life and say this is it. A lot of them want to be able to have that freedom to move around, gain experiences, get more skill sets, create more companies. So in order for them to live the lifestyle that they want to, because most don't want to live a life that they have to vacation from. They want to live a life that the vacation in a sense comes to them on a regular basis, that they go outside in their community and they want to be engaged. They love the city that they live in. They love the town, the state that they live in. They love the country that they live in. They have that mindset. And with that mindset, because everybody was saying, because a lot of millennials aren't buying houses, it's affecting the housing market. So the smart entrepreneurs that people are in the United States of America say, hey, what is the caveat? This is the caveat. Outside of them buying a lot, because a lot of them don't even want to own big single family homes, because a lot aren't even having families, or 2, they just don't want to live in a boring suburb and be bored out of their freaking mind all the time. So this is the next best step. They want to be able to live in the city, but they can't afford to live in the city most of the time. So somebody had that thirst, and they had the thirst, and somebody was able to quench that thirst for them. Right on to you for the Podshare people. Round of applause. And that's what it's all about. You evolve or you disappear. You cannot stay the same forever. Nothing stays the same forever. And unfortunately, a lot of folks in the real estate business have been banking on everybody just having kids and moving in the suburbs and buying a single family home. So a lot of people are still doing that, but a lot of people aren't doing that. A lot of people don't want to do that. So how do you fill that void? This is one of the answers. And obviously there's other answers, but this is one of the answers. And that's the main reason why I'm talking about this. This is very interesting all at the same time, So now, obviously, here's one way of looking at it, because I mentioned the engaging part. Being an introvert, living the Podshare lifestyle, you have no choice in really being an introvert. You're going to have to communicate and engage with people. Obviously, it sounds like it's too good to be true for some people, but there are strict rules that apply. Just like anything else, there's always a caveat to something when it comes to the communal Podshare lifestyle that people have to take heed to, and it's cool. It's like, hey, if you take an Uber, there's rules and regulations you got to adhere to. If you're staying at an Airbnb, there's still rules and regulations that you got to adhere to, house rules. Every time I go to an Airbnb, there's house rules. There's nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. So each pod includes a shelf and personal television, areas for you to put your food, like cereal and ramen noodles and toiletries, toothpaste, all your personal items is included, okay? And I'll go over a little bit of the community standards rules. Podshare is a co-living facility, and they state, please respect your roommates and the property. If anyone disturbs sleep quality or the enjoyment of the space for others, they may be asked to leave without a refund. So strict rules and guidelines to adhere to, and I can understand this, because there's always that one person that's going to screw it up for everybody. So you got to have those doors in place to say, hey, there's a door, no refund, have a nice life, vaya con Dios. So, and they even state they reserve the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason. All locations are 100% drug-free, so no drugs. I even saw a video on YouTube the other day. Vice made a special about, this is a great thing, but the downside is no sex is allowed. I'm like, okay, well, if you're saving money living in this communal living and you have to do something to that effect, that's why they call it a hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, okay? Call it a day. So, and no excessive inebriation or inappropriate behavior will be tolerated. I can understand that, because at the end of the day, you're still just renting somebody else's space, and you got to respect other people, It's just, don't screw it up for everybody. And, they ensure that when all guests get there, they have a valid photo ID, the credit card on file, email address, and liability waivers prior to check-in, all that good stuff, They even state, guest items, or if guest items are still in the room/pod past the designated time for them to be checked out, then they will be charged an additional day without refund. So, and they reserve the right to charge the card on file. And all this is just, there's a disclaimer in the beginning. And I'm just explaining this because if more and more people want to engage in this is good. And if you're a real estate investor, you can see why this is a great concept and reality for you and to add it to your portfolio in the future. Always keep that in mind, So that is another good thing, Obviously, there's more rules. If your car is in a certain spot after the designated time you're supposed to be checked out, then you'll be charged again. The one thing is that you're not really supposed to have guests, but certain pod shares allow you to have guests, but you have to register that guest, and the guest has to pay like a $15 convenience fee for not actually staying there. So I think that's a good thing. At the same time, hey, and as an investor, hey, you're able. So say if a person has up to 2 or 3 guests, then you basically made $30 to $45, within one day. So not a lot of money, but obviously if you with the excessive amount of tenants, it all adds up. With the excessive amount of properties that you obtain, it all adds up. So it's just other ways to make money. And then I was just thinking too, I was talking to a buddy of mine today. If you wanted to get into the vending machine business, hey, this is a perfect place to have vending machines right there. Boom, tax deductible, way to make a little bit more money, and then your client is happy. All clients customers, tenants are happy all at the same time because they actually have options right then and there. So this is a great business. I think this is awesome. I think this is the now, this is the future, and even though for the most part it's just in major cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and Seattle, I see it continuously going to grow, especially with the young people wanting to have that lifestyle in the city and not live in the boring suburbs. I get it, I respect it, and millennials are wanting to be in major cities more and more nowadays. So hey, let's go for it. And like I said, for real estate investors, this is the opportunity to invest, because a lot of places, and I've noticed a lot of these places used to be like old warehouses or old office spaces, and then they've just turned them into communal living spaces. So a lot of times it could be an abandoned size, nice large size home, and people will do the same thing. They might not have as many beds, but they will have a significant amount of space in order for them to make the communal living a reality. And if you look at the pictures here, you see where the shower is at, the bathroom, the space so people can get on their computers and eat, living room areas. I mean, it's like I said, it's really a dorm room concept just brought to fruition for people of all ages, and a lot of these people, given the fact that they are fresh out of college, they already used to living that lifestyle. If they were in the military, they used to living that lifestyle. So, I just think it's awesome. And if people would team up, because a lot of people are like, well, I can't really afford this can't happen. If people would team up and start hanging around people with the same mindset, You know, even if they don't have the money at the time, maybe they can get the money a little later on. You can make something like this possible for yourself. Heck, I might even think about investing in something myself like this in the future, because I could see this being very profitable, especially in a place where I know the job market is very hot. There's a lot of college students, you know, colleges, you know, things of that nature, possibly military base. You know, it's just, the list goes on and on. If you know, there's a lot of young people there because the job market is hot, the college is there, people are being stationed there. It's just, you know, putting, you know, 1 + 1 = 2, putting 2 and 2 together, you know, and then just doing the numbers and figuring out from there. And then, hey, you have your options of private money lenders. If you own a home, you can take out a mortgage on your house, take out some equity, you know, put it into something like this. This is, you know, and obviously there's way more you can, when it comes to the numbers, you got to do it yourself. But I see this as being a great potential investment for myself. So hopefully you'll look into it and do the numbers yourself. Obviously, don't take my word for it. Do the numbers yourself and then go from there and see how it works out. Because even in the article, a gentleman by the name of Stephen T. Johnson, who's 27-year-old, founder of FlipMass, which is an advertising company for Instagram influencers. And he stated, and I quote, that he can, because somebody in his position, he can actually afford his own place in San Francisco, but doesn't want to look in. He basically, like a lot of millennials, they want to be locked into renting a tiny, overpriced apartment. You know, he had a micro studio that was about $1,700 per month, and he said that it was less than 200 square feet. And, you know, that this is actually a luxury and costs less than the place that he actually lived in a couple of blocks, you know, down the street. And that's the thing. He's paying for the conveniency to stay next to where he actually runs his company. So, and a lot of people like the fact that they can just walk to work every day, walk to the office every day. They don't have to worry about traffic, sitting on a highway, paying outrageous toll fees and things of that nature. You know, a lot of people like that freedom. They can walk to the store whenever they want to. If there's an event going on in the city, they can go check it out, and it's not a hassle. Because a lot of times, like, for example, I don't even go to the city because it's just a hassle just to get to it. So, and I'm just trying to think of the mindset of a potential customer. Hey, he or she might want to be able to live in the city. So, hey, if I'm buying stuff in the city, hey, it's going to be easy to keep places rented out. So that works out for me as an investor. You know, put 2 and 2 together. And he stated in that quote, he's been living at Podshare for about 5 months and using it as a live/workspace. So he's doing, especially a lot of people, they make their money online, so they don't have to leave the house to go to work. They work from home. And he said, I quote, I think anyone that's staying in arrangements like the Podshare, it's just early to a new form of housing. That's how he put it. And there's so many different living arrangements that he thinks that would just be this is just an available option. And that's what it is. We live in the options generation. We want to have as many options as possible. We don't want to be pigeonholed and locked into things, whether it's a career, whether it's a place we live at, whether it's a community. We want to be able to have options, you know. It's one of those, you know, sleep when you're dead mentalities that's going on nowadays. And I love it, you know, and it's going to be an option. It's going to be definitely available for more and more people in the future. Podshare might not have as much privacy, stated, as an apartment. Well, this is actually another gentleman stated this. Rayan Zaid. He's a 23-year-old software engineer living in San Francisco. He says, but that's not his privacy is not really his priority at the moment. You know, he says what matters to him is that he's in the right place, surrounded by the right people, and it's efficient. And that's what I really want you to take heed on, because more and more people are going to want to adapt to this lifestyle, because in today's world, networking is everything. If you're just working a job and being a bump on a log and not trying to engage people that's worth engaging, that has the mindset that you have, that's where you want to be, then you're just working a job, and the chances of you getting laid off is definitely a lot higher than somebody who's constantly networking and engaging with people, dealing with different organizations and dealing with different influencers and dealing with different entrepreneurs, and et cetera and so forth. So I leave it at that. Podshare allows him to live close to work, eliminating a 2-hour commute that he had living in the suburbs. So that's just another way to look at it. Now, before I end this video, I would like to go over the numbers because it's all about the numbers, right? So let's just say, for hypothetically speaking, if you had 30 beds, because it's not like you're worried about rooms, you're renting beds out here. So 30 beds at $1,200 a month. not rooms, you're looking at about $30,000 a month. Now, I know that doesn't mean a lot in San Francisco, but I know that if you did this in another city like a Houston, Dallas, Phoenix, New Mexico, Denver, that places like maybe even in Salt Lake City, Utah, those kind of numbers, can change a lot for your lifestyle. I mean, $30,000 a month, even in San Francisco, it's you're still doing pretty freaking good. So come on now, most people don't make $30,000 a month. Let's be realistic. Double that, $60,000 a month, et cetera and so forth. So, and then obviously it's easier said than done. Like any other investment, especially when you're buying and holding, you got to deal with tenants, you got to deal with issues that occur with the place, but hey, that's a part of the game, one. And then two, end it off, you can write this all off because it's a tax write-off. And if you say, well, I don't have the time, that's why you quit your job, so you do have the time, so you can make some real money, because the job just stands for just over broke. And I'll leave it at that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. It went a little bit longer than I expected, but hey, look into Podshare. It might be something for you to engage in, or it might be something for you to invest in. Look into it, get the actual facts and figures from the website and the individuals that are part of the organization, and go from there. Hopefully you liked the video. Please like, please share, always, please subscribe, and have a great day, and get out there and buy some real estate.